Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker will shed some light on how, by embracing technology and transforming legacy business processes, enterprises will not only be able to meet but exceed market demands, customer expectations, as well as increase overall business efficiency and agility. He is the managing director of our exclusive terabyte partner, Fusionex Group. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Jacob Isaac.
Good morning. My name is Jacob, and I'm the Managing Director of Fusionex, a leading player in analytics and AI. Today, I'm excited to share with you about how we can reinvent your businesses. At the end of this sharing, I would like to go through in terms of some of the challenges and how we can overcome those challenges in terms of digitalizing our businesses. 200 years ago, 90% of the world's population worked in agriculture. Today, only 2% of the world's population works in agriculture. We know that change is inevitable. We say it, we know it, but yet we fear it simply because we don't practice it enough. You're never really afraid of something if you practice enough of it. Same goes with embracing digital technologies like analytics and AI. If you practice the usage of technologies enough, we wouldn't fear the changes that come with it. COVID-19 has taken the world by surprise. No one was prepared for this. The virus just arrived and disrupted the livelihood of everyone. Farmers, factory workers, professionals, business owners, SME owners, large enterprises, housewives, students, teachers, everyone. It has forced us to rethink our social and business activities. No one has been spared. But clearly, entities that are digitalized are suffering less in comparison. The good news is people are starting to take digital transformation a lot more seriously right now. Microsoft cited many companies whose digitalization plans, originally poised for 2 to 3 years, were accelerated for execution within just months. If you look at the top global companies and their lifespan and see how that has changed rapidly. In 1964, the top S&P 500 companies had a projected lifespan tenure of about 33 years. In 2016, the top 500 companies have a tenure of about only 24 years. That's close to a 30% reduction. That's huge. And in 2027, wow, S&P 500 companies only have a tenure of about 12 years. That's really short for a corporate lifespan. So question for us, if the big boys can't keep up, what makes us think that our SMEs, our businesses can survive? Constant change is the new normal. We might not know it, but most of us practice inertia. We don't like change. It makes us uncomfortable, not knowing what to expect. In short, we like things to remain. What do businesses want? What do they really want? They want predictability. We are always looking for certainty, and change contradicts exactly that. Alas, in life, we have to embrace change. We have to enjoy changes because it is the only way to move forward. To hope that life will not change is impossible. The only way to improve is if you enjoy changes. Look at how shopping has changed. The growth of e-commerce is amazing. This is the new retail experience. It's almost unbelievable that e-commerce represents close to 15% of global spend today. Close to 15% of global spend is huge. A deeper dive shows us that global e-commerce is doubling every 5 years. But what's more interesting is Southeast Asia is growing by 8 times in 8 years. This is where the action is. This is where the market is. Today, if you trade whether in products, raw material or services, you are challenged globally. If you want to run a successful business, it has to be cross-border. Even if you wanted to compete locally and be jago kampong, you'll be challenged by overseas vendors and suppliers every day, all the time. If you think about cross-border, if you think about trading overseas, and you want to compete with the best in international waters, you have to compete with speed. And are we fast enough? Are we quick enough to adapt to changes? It is important that we can adapt to technological changes not just quickly, but with precision as well. Because if not, we are out there for a knockout. So what do we do? What are the pillars of digitalization? What are the challenges? Where do we start? What are the pillars that we should focus on first? Arguably, there are 4 pillars of digitalization. You can start anywhere, in no particular sequence, but you will need all to be done to have a sound digital business. Pillar number 1, engage with your customers. It won't be much use if you've got digital platforms but nobody knows about it. You need to engage your customers, market your platforms, reach out and let the world know you have a world-class digital highway. This can be done most effectively using AI-powered digital marketing, not just the traditional methods, but the new methods. Pillar number 2, you must cultivate an internal culture that is digitalized. If not, it will all fall apart very quickly externally, as this goes hand in hand. Internal productivity will be heightened with digital platforms like video conferencing tools, shared drives, document processing applications. Pillar number 3, change the way you sell. Today, establishing multi-channels is extremely important. If sales cannot be done online, you're in trouble. Collaborate with e-commerce players or build your own e-store. Or better, do both. Be sure to build websites, mobile apps, enabling all channels, firing all cylinders to sell your products and services. Make it available online 24/7. Make it always on. Pillar number 4, make better decisions using analytics and AI. Once you have data flowing through the veins of the organization, you must leverage on analytics and AI to make unbiased decisions based on real-time data. Almost all renowned publications would tell you that only companies embracing AI and analytics will differentiate themselves from competition, and they will be the one that will be sustainable. Now, whilst you think that you have a competent team to work on this, and I'm sure you do, I highly encourage that you work with partners, because digitalization is not an easy feat. There are challenges lurking in every corner. So trying to overcome them will either derail your company from its core business focus or demoralize your team altogether when coming head-on with these challenges. One must remember, you're in the business of selling your products and services, not running IT. And the items in these slides really looks like a full-time job. You will always face budget constraints, security, compliance, processes, networking issues. The list just goes on. It is better to work with trusted IT partners to ensure that you are working with teams who have the economies of scale and experience to minimize failure points and avoid unnecessary costs. So whilst the road ahead is not a walk in the park, but one thing is for sure, doing nothing is a really bad idea. Doing nothing is a really bad idea. Make no mistake, the digital run is a race we are all forced to compete in. This is essential, not optional. And it's not just about precision, it's about speed as well. If you believe in digital platforms, e-stores, and going online, you may have half the battle won. But then again, one might ask, why do we need AI and analytics? This is because the amount of data that we generate and we create is so much faster than what we humans can process. So we are unable and inefficient to process that amount of data with that kind of speed. We need the assistance of machines. Talk about data size. Data is knowledge when processed correctly. How much data can be stored today in computers, hard drives? And how does this compare with the regular human mind? Take, for example, how big is an exabyte? How big is that? We all hear about exabytes, petabytes, terabytes, but actually, how big is really an exabyte? The answer is 10 to the power of 18. And 10 to the power of 18 is a big number, but hard to comprehend. Let's put that number to some context. The Library of Congress is the world's largest library in size. But how big is this? It is more than 164 million items, 3.6 million recordings, 14 million photographs, 5.5 million maps, 838 miles of bookshelves, and so on and so forth. That altogether combined times 100,000 times of text information is how big 1 exabyte is. All that information times 100,000 times is how big 1 exabyte is. Now imagine a computer model that can consume all that data to process and understand and make sense out of those data sets to provide a prescription, a recommendation for your businesses. How powerful is that? How powerful is AI when it has no limit in processing exabytes and petabytes of data with speed and accuracy? So what are the pillars of AI? What do we have as part of the pillars of AI? Number 1, computer vision. There are tons of applications using video analytics today, looking at directions of vehicles, people walking towards which zones, crowd density, facial recognition, traffic control. There are just so many different use cases. You can look at directions, you can look at speed, you can look at areas that are supposed to be isolated. You can move crowd around because you are able to recognize crowd behavior, density, direction, velocity. There are tons of applications that we can use computer vision with. There are just so many use cases in businesses. We can track crowd, we can understand their behavior, what are they looking, what are they buying, what are their demographics, what are their personalization habits. So how does AI really work? How does it work? It sounds magical, but in reality, it's actually quite simple. If you think about AI, it's all about inputting raw data. So if you're trying to teach the computer to understand what is a banana, what is a mango, what is an apple, so fruits essentially, what you do is you load in a bunch of data, to be more specific, images of these fruits into a computer algorithm and teach it and state that this is an apple, this is a banana, this is a mango. The computer will train itself based on its modeling capabilities to understand, to differentiate an apple from an orange or an apple from a mango. And after that processing, which can take days, weeks, or hours, depending on computer resources, it is able to now identify what exactly is an apple, what is a mango, what is a banana. If that is not good enough, if precision is not there, load in 1,000 images, load in 10,000 images, 100,000 images, I bet the computer is now better than any one of us to identify what is an apple because of its knowledge base, which is limitless. So there you go. You can analyze foot traffic in stores, facial recognition for personalization, and targeted marketing. Just drive your creativity wild as to how to use this very mature technology to your advantage. Today, AI can recognize voice input, which is pillar number 2, transforming it to plain text for text recognition. How is it done? You load in sound waves, going through the neural network to understand how to say hello in different slangs, in different languages, and the output is text. It can recognize speech, converting it to text to analyze text. Well, we use this all the time with Google Speech, Siri, etc. We do that all the time. How can we help? So thinking about all these different technologies, you can combine it with NLP as well to help you better understand your data. So where the computer understands not just words, but contextual meaning of time, date, places, even slangs, accents, and expressions. So there you have it all. AI today capable of computer vision, speech recognition, language analysis, and the ability to process an unlimited array of knowledge. What does this mean? Effectively, if you embrace AI and analytics into your business, your businesses would come alive as AI would give it eyes, ears, speech, and brain power to process and recommend the next best course of action. So what are the challenges businesses face today in the wake of digital transformation? There are just so many. But I thought I'll share with you some of the top 4. And these are the top 4. Number 1, it's difficult to acquire and retain skilled resources, IT savvy personnel. Why? Because they want to touch the latest technologies, disruptive technologies, and retention is tough because they easily get bored, they want high salaries. So SMEs could have a challenge with this in terms of salary packages, in terms of workspaces, etc. So talent is a big challenge. Number two, there's always a budget constraint. Limited budgets and lack of access to funds is always going to be a challenge. So if we don't have enough funds in the organization, it's hard to have good credit ratings, weak cash flows, low balance sheets, which enable us to actually propel the business to the next level. I think what we are trying to do over here is trying to get loans sometimes, to get grants, to drive the business to the next level, but that's always going to be challenging if our credit ratings or our businesses are in a challenging position from a financial point of view. Next is limited access to suitable digital technology. Now, it's not that we don't have options. In fact, we have a lot of options. Too many options. Most businesses today cannot afford, and they don't have the knowledge to implement and adopt these kind of technologies, which comes in abundance. And every one of these items, whether collaborative tools, whether security tools, productive tools, or whether it's e-store, or whether it's marketplaces, we have all these options in abundance. So how do you choose which one is suitable for your business? How do you choose right from wrong? That remains as a challenge, because a wrong move could result in bad outcomes. And last but not least is actually limited market reach, limited market access. So most businesses today, no doubt they have a good product, they've got a good line of services, but they don't know how to use a multi-channel approach to reach out to new leads, to new geographies, to new markets, to expand their products beyond their current horizon. They don't know how to use AI-powered digital marketing technologies to attract customers, to bring them on board their digital platforms. So that is challenge number 4. So amidst these different challenges, this is where the partnerships are critical. Partners like Fusionex offers the ability to accelerate utilization of new disruptive technologies like analytics and AI, allowing businesses to focus on the businesses, while Fusionex takes care of digitalization and technologies. Why Fusionex? We transform what if to what's next for every businesses. We do a lot of different things, a lot of different use cases, but at the end of the day, our primary focus comes in twofold, one or the other, or both. Number one is to help you increase your sales, and we are very confident to use AI and analytics and digital technologies to help you increase your sales, your revenue, by strong double digits. Number two, if we don't want to or we can't increase the sales, then it's about reducing your costs. And that again, we are extremely confident to reduce your costs by strong double digits. And we will use new digital technologies, AI and analytics to help you achieve this while you focus on your businesses. In terms of the platform, Fusionex comes readily available with a product and platform known as Fusionex Giant. So over here, we have the different pillars. In terms of the multiple platforms, you probably already have some of these on the far left in your organization, one or more, 3 of them or 10 of them in the form of Oracle, IBM, CRM, Siebel, etc. We have developed ready connectors to all these different data sources. So whether it's connectivity to SAP, to Oracle, to IBM, to Microsoft, we have these connectors which we can connect to your data sources or even external data sources to process the data and to provide recommendations on how to boost your sales or reduce operational inefficiencies. All these solutions can be hosted on the cloud, on hybrid, and it's on multiple form factors. So it can be on a laptop, desktop, your mobile phones, as it supports HTML5. So these are really accelerators that's part of the products today. This diagram shows you that we are not limited to just relational databases. We can connect to various IoT protocols such as Modbus, BACnet, SNMP, CAN bus, ZigBee, and many other industrial standards. Again, we are not limited to these connectors, and it can extend with justification, with business justification. The data store and management layer covers all the management of metadata, resource management, storage optimization, methodologies using machine learning, stream processing, search engines, NLP, just to name a few. Industry templates and models is one of Fusionex's most unique selling points, as we have retail templates, e-commerce templates, manufacturing templates, financial services templates, and so many others. So that when you start the journey of analytics and AI, you don't start from ground zero. We can bootstrap, as we know what KPIs and measures would your line of business typically look at, what predictive models you would use, what use cases you would find most relevant. Have you ever been in a situation where you launch a business intelligence project, an analytics initiative, and you don't know where to start? What are the use cases? What are the data points? What are the KPIs? What are the templates to look at? And it's just so hard to start from ground zero. With Fusionex, you will not experience any of those headaches because we bootstrap you with something which is a bit of a raw template, but able to customize, scale up, and scale down according to your needs, according to your businesses. Now, this accelerates your implementation substantially and lowers down your risk of failure. Again, analytics layers come ready with industrial templates and also comes with a full spectrum of offerings, including alerts, monitoring, case management, workflow, the list just goes on. So an example of some of the most well-known use cases, most widely used models in the Fusionex repertoire includes business influencers, where we help you understand what affects your businesses most. Chatbots, imagine using chatbots to enhance your customer services. Customer segregation, understand your customers a bit better in terms of profile, spend patterns, and their needs, and upcoming needs as well. Imagine that you could forecast revenue, foot traffic. Imagine you could simulate what effects there would be if you choose to drop your price, if you choose to raise your price or drop your price, or hire more people, or open up more branches. What if models are so powerful to assist decisions? Looking at machine learning, that's the new word for artificial intelligence, and you will have a machine that is constantly learning and growing in your businesses to help predict and prescribe next course of actions. Again, industry templates are very welcome over here, and we have all this in abundance depending on which industry you are in. So you would be able to start from somewhere, not from nowhere. So what do you think? Does your firm look at change as an opportunity or something unfortunate? What does the future look like for you, to you? We always say that if we only knew that extra piece of information, we would have changed our business decision. We would have changed the course of action, and the direction of the business could be substantially different. And it's so hard to rewind to the past, but with analytics and AI, it gives you an insight to the potential future, to the prospective future, and that is very powerful. So to give you insight to what could potentially happen allows you to make better, well-informed decisions before it happens. So again, these are the pillars of digitalization. Where do you start? Where should you start? It's totally up to you, and it doesn't mean that you have to do sequentially. You can run in parallel, you can take things one at a time, but again, make no mistake, all pillars has to be completed. But there is a wise saying, a journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first step. So take one step at a time, but move fast. Remember, time is of essence, especially in this era where speed matters. So I thank you for your attention. And if you'd like to onboard the digital transformation journey, or get on a free trial, or try and see what analytics and AI can help you in your businesses, what it can do to increase your revenue or reduce your costs, feel free to get in touch. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a pleasant digital transformation journey.